Welcome to Cardinals Cover 2 with Craig Grialou and Mike Jurecki. Cardinals Cover 2 is brought to you by Arizona Cardinals Podcasts. Visit azcardinals.com/podcasts. From the Dignity Health Arizona Cardinals Training Center, here's Craig Grialou and Mike Jurecki.
Well, expectations are a funny thing, MJ. The Cardinals were not expected to do much, if anything, at Kansas City a week ago, and yet there they were in the fourth quarter, down one possession with the football. They ended up losing by 2 scores, but this week, different story. The Cardinals, when they host the Oakland Raiders on Sunday, expected to win, and it might be one of the few opportunities in this second half of the season. Question is, how do they deal with that?
Yeah, but you're going to have to go out there and you're going to have to execute without stating the obvious. Is that, the other team gets paid and they're sitting in kind of a similar boat to the Cardinals. I mean, they're looking for their second win. Obviously, you look at the roster and it's been kind of gutted. But it's the NFL. You got to protect Josh Rosen. You got to get the running game going. You got to force Derek Carr to maybe throw some interceptions. So it's one of those things where listen, I don't think the Cardinals, they're not taking anybody for granted, nor should they. And you got to go out there and you got to execute. And whether it's a close game or not, just get a victory and try to build off it. Build off what you did last week when it came to the offense, having more total plays than the Chiefs, more first downs than the Chiefs, time of possession. Unfortunately, you didn't get the win. But I think there's definitely a lot to build on, especially with the offense with Byron Leftwich and Josh Rosen.
Well, you go back through the last, not just the 4 quarters in Kansas City, but the final quarter against San Francisco. That's 5 quarters that the Cardinals have played well in as far as offense and defense. And now the question is, can you do it and have it equate to a W?
Coincidence, huh? Go back to the San Francisco game. San Francisco, well, listen, I don't want to see anybody get fired. I think Mike McCoy is a quality man. Obviously, it didn't work out for him, but there's a huge difference since Byron Leftwich is calling plays.
Yeah, we'll see what he does in just his 3rd game as offensive coordinator as we take off on this Football Friday. Let you know what's ahead on the show here this afternoon. We dive into Sunday's matchup, both on and off the field. Josh Rosen, despite his rookie status, has quickly become a leader on this team, and it is Friday, so of course you'll hear from Larry Fitzgerald, hashtag FitzFriday, and your questions via social media using the hashtag CardsCover2 with the number 2 to get involved in the show here on this Football Friday.
It is also Cardinals Alumni Weekend, so you're going to see some former Cardinals coming in here, and the Cardinals have done a good job over the years when it comes to their alumni, getting them involved and having a weekend wherever you can come in town, hang out, mingle, and just have some great memories and go down memory lane. So I'm looking forward to seeing a couple Cardinals coming up on Sunday. I noticed a couple guys up there in the front, up there in the office that are coming in and picking up their tickets and enjoying the nice little weather.
Yeah, it should be a fun weekend for the Cardinals all the way around. But as we start here, how about the news of the day? And with it being Friday, the injury report takes center stage, and the Cardinals have already ruled out 2 players, safety Budda Baker and wide receiver Chad Williams. Kicker Phil Dawson, left tackle DJ Humphries, and defensive tackle Robert Kimdichie will be game day decisions, according to head coach Steve Wilks. And Rodney Gunter, who has been out all week long because of a death in the family, he is expected to be back with the team on Sunday, so that will be good news. But here we are coming, week 11, and yeah, it is a pretty lengthy injury report list, so some more concerning than others, but it sounds like Humphries will at least try. I wouldn't expect him to be out unless there is a setback with his knee. And, of course, Mike Iupati being limited in practice, but good to see him on the field all week long. Cardinals, they're definitely going to need their offensive line to be as healthy as possible coming up on Sunday.
Yeah, I like what you said there. I think they start the game. The question becomes, do they finish the game? And so that means you'll have your 4 starters, between Humphries, Iupati, Cole, and Smith, and then we'll have to wait and see what happens with the swing tackle. Corey Cunningham was active last week. He's told him he's taking a lot more reps in practice. But looking at the injury report, huge loss with Budda Baker.
Yeah, let's touch on that. And before we get your thoughts, MJ, let's hear from Cardinals defensive coordinator Al Holcomb on the loss of Budda Baker.
Budda's a special player, and he wears a lot of hats in our defense, which is hard to replace. But the players that we have, Benet, he's done a really nice job. Benet kind of fits into that mold as well as being a multiple positional player. In fact, Benet plays really 3 positions when you look at it, corner, nickel, and safety. So next man up, we got to get the production out of the position, but I'm confident in Benet's ability.
Now, if you remember, Ben Wickery was kind of brought in as more depth guy for the Cardinals in the offseason, familiar with Coach Wilkes and Coach Holcomb, and familiar with the defense. So he was one of those guys who might have had a louder voice in the room, if you will, because he could get the rest of the team where they needed to be defensively, and came off the bench initially, but then week 4 replaced Jamar Taylor as the starting cornerback and has been there ever since. And now even more added to the plate this week with Baker unable to go. You'll see him at cornerback and, as Coach Holcomb said, at nickel corner and even some safety inside the box. So he all of a sudden becomes very, very important because Budda Baker was certainly very important for the Cardinals defensively.
Yeah, I want to see Ben Wickery make more plays, though. He's in position sometimes, and Jamar Taylor, the Cardinals had to somehow go out and try to fill that opposite cornerback position of Patrick Peterson, so they make the trade. He's really on a 1-year deal, prove-it deal, but he hasn't played up to par, so it's interesting. You're going to have Taylor out there opposite of Peterson, you would assume. Then Ben Wickery is going to take Budda Baker's spot. I just think that's a little bit of drop-off, but I do like Ben Wickery from a standpoint, familiar with the defense. He's not thinking as much. He's reacting to what's happening on the field, and he can only help other guys that maybe just aren't on the same page. And there were some miscommunications last week, maybe because Trey Boston missed a few weeks, but you can't have that. I don't care who you're playing. Now the Raiders are without Martavius Bryant, their wide receiver, and also Jordy Nelson. Cardinals catch a break there. Really the big matchup is going to be Jared Cook. And the Cardinals have been hit and miss on some of these tight ends. I thought they did a really good job on Travis Kelce, maybe not the case with the San Francisco 49ers. So Jared Cook is the go-to guy. He's a big physical tight end, almost looks like a wide receiver when he runs routes, and he's got strong hands. So that's going to be a matchup to look for. I would assume that's Derek Carr's favorite target right now.
And if you just look at Ben Wickery, this is his 5th season. For Baker, only his 2nd season, but first as a full-time starter, and he is 2nd on the team in tackles and is certainly one of the better special teams players for the Cardinals as well. So not only do you lose someone on defense, you lose someone on special teams, and Patrick Peterson addressed the Baker absence earlier this week.
It definitely loses something. But at the end of the day, we have to find a way to hold on until he gets back. Budda is a very, very special player for us. He does so much for us. He's our jack of all trades. We can blitz him. We can put him in coverage. We can have him playing middle field safety. Hell, I know one thing we're definitely going to miss defense is not going to be accounted for about 10 tackles, but that's what he's averaging in the game. So we just have to find a way to match his intensity and match his play as well.
You use multiple players to replace one guy. You got Benet.
No, I think honestly, I think we're in good shape right now with Benet. He's also another guy that can pretty much play a lot of positions in this defense. So I think that's what makes our secondary so good. We have so many versatile players that can. If someone goes down, they can easily fill in and possibly not only making that position better, but we can also not miss a beat as far as the terminology and the communication in the back end.
Usually when they say next man up, we only know it works at certain positions, and you can go in there for a game or two, and then you kind of get exposed. That's why you're a rotation player. So it looks like they're going to get it done by committee, replacing Budda Baker. Patrick's right. Just one game he had 15 tackles, 13 tackles. He gets his hands on a ball. He finally got a touchdown in his NFL career. So it looks like it's going to be more by committee. Maybe we're going to see more zone because Patrick literally wouldn't just guard one guy in this game. So and again, you got to cut down on the miscommunications.
Yeah, the other injury of note, at least to keep an eye on as far as game day is concerned, and that is kicker Phil Dawson, who was once again limited in practice. And Coach Wilkes did acknowledge the fact that they worked out Matt McCrane on Friday, and if Dawson is unable to go for whatever reason, that decision probably will be made on Saturday, so the Cardinals can sign McCrane and then have to open up a roster spot, meaning someone would have to be released to add McCrane. But certainly an interesting storyline now if McCrane is added. Certainly everyone remembers him from training camp, and he was briefly on the practice squad. But he was also with the Raiders earlier this season, kicked a game winner at home at the Oakland Coliseum, and then he obviously was released. So it'd be interesting to see him back on the field.
Well, at least he doesn't have to kick in the infield.
That's true.
The dirt. I mean, he obviously benefited kicking indoors in training camp. He has a strong leg. I think he could be part of the future, depending on what they do decide with Phil Dawson, even though his contract expires. Yeah, it's great to have a luxury like that. Now, usually you'll make that roster move tomorrow because according to league transactions, you got to get that in before Sunday. So we'll know something tomorrow if they have to make a roster move. Hopefully Dawson's able to go. I know he's been getting treatment around the clock. A hip for a kicker's got to be it's got to be a pain tolerance at this point. So listen, this game we don't think it's going to come down to a field goal, but it could. You'd rather have the veteran out there versus a guy that's trying to settle a score, even though they gave him an opportunity when he got let go by the Raiders.
The one thing, though, that McCrane does have now is NFL experience, and that was the question.
True.
That was the debate that you and I had during training camp and preseason. What do you do as far as who do you keep? And I was of the opinion, and I think you shared it too, that you go with the veteran Dawson as opposed to going in with a rookie who's never done it before.
Right, and a lot of the fans out there, they always like the backup quarterback, I don't know if the backup kicker, but they were kind of intrigued with him because he was young, and Dawson he struggled, the first 8 games last year, and then he improved in the second 8. The thing is now he's made a pressure kick. He's been in a situation where the team relies on him. Now, in the game that he had the game winner, he did miss a kick towards the end. It wasn't perfect up there, but they're turning the roster over. But the main thing is he is kicked in a real NFL game, and he's had to come in there with X amount of seconds on the clock in overtime to make the kick. And so I'm willing to look past that now because now he has NFL experience. Not a lot, but some.
One other note here on this Friday, and it's congratulations to David Johnson. His family is expanding. He announced on Instagram yesterday that he and his wife Megan are expecting their second child. So congratulations to number 31. Now the question is, what does he do on the field?
David Johnson?
Yeah, David, yeah.
The father?
Absolutely. Yes, not
okay.
not the baby.
I thought you were talking about the first boy. Okay. No, 30.
I don't know. Can he run yet? Can he run the football?
No, can he block?
Oh, okay.
Facetious. I've gone up I've upped the ante. I went to 25, I went to 28, and now that it looks comfortable and Byron Leftwich is knowing how to use them, I want to see it to 30. Now, Leftwich made it very clear to us yesterday, this offense isn't just about Josh Rosen, about David Johnson and Larry Fitzgerald. Sure, they're their playmakers. They need Christian Kirk to contribute. Ricky Seals-Jones. They need guys like John Phillips and Jermaine Gresham to block. Derek Coleman, Chase Edmonds. So they have some weapons. We focus on where the main 5-star players are, but there's other guys, and if David's really rolling, then they can't put 8 in the box. If Larry's catching that ball on the seam or playing in the slot, then they got to roll coverage over for him. That can open things up for Ricky Seals-Jones. Jones, to me, has improved since the season started. He's not dropping those easy passes. Rosen looks like he's got a connection with him, and I think he's gotten stronger with his hands. Now he's able to catch the ball. Before he catch it, then they would be able to knock it out of his hands. And I talked to him about that today, and he says, yeah, I'm making an improvement in that area.
Week 11 on Sunday, kickoff from State Farm Stadium, 2:05 with 9:30 a.m. The pregame coverage beginning on the Arizona Cardinals radio network. And if you want to know where to watch, listen, and follow the game, just go to azcardinals.com/game central, azcardinals.com/game central. It's also a great website, great location on game day as well. A live blog with play-by-play updates, scoring summary, and box score, and video highlights as well. So Cardinals 2-7, Raiders, well, 1-8, and there has been some discussion this week as far as whether it's better to not win this game. We, of course, see it in the NBA and Major League Baseball, but not in the NFL, and certainly something Coach Wilkes wanted no part of earlier this week.
You know what? My mind is not really on draft picks right now. I'm trying to do everything I can to win football games, and I'm not looking to say, okay, we're going to be in the top 5. That to me is a loser's mentality. So we're going to continue to work hard, and at the end of the season, whatever happens, we'll take that order.
Being a rare situation this year, playing a game you're expected to win, does that change the dynamics inside the locker room?
You know what? Just like last week, you guys, brought to my attention we were 17 and whatever underdog. I don't pay attention to that. Neither would I pay attention to us being favorites. You can throw the record out the window. And those 2 NFL teams, guys fighting hard, very competitive out there. So the team that's going to win the game is going to be the team that plays the best that day.
And as we started the show, Cardinals heavy underdogs against Kansas City, and they're favored to win this week. I didn't get a sense one way or the other around the players around the locker room this week as opposed to last week going into the ball game. You look every single week, regardless of what locker room you walk into in the NFL, players expect to win that Sunday, and the Cardinals expect to win this week as they did last week.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with Coach Wilkes. I'm glad he said it because I get a lot of time too. Oh, just lose and get a better draft pick. Listen, there's a lot of guys that aren't going to be on this team next year. In other words, they couldn't care less once the season's over. They're going to try to find their new home. You really can't predict how the draft's going to go. When we get to January, we'll figure it out. But if you think they're tanking, go to your fantasy team and start making trades and see how it works out for you. You just can't change the roster during the season. And so their focus is every week to try to win. You don't spend Monday in meetings, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday in the practice field and say, we're just going to roll over on Sunday. That does not happen. They don't have that mentality, nor does the head coach. So I say amen to what he said.
And I'd invite you for further on this to go to azcardinals.com. Kyle Odegaard wrote about it and talked to some of the players in the locker room. You just don't see it in the NFL. It's impossible almost because unlike the NBA, Major League Baseball, you don't have those franchise-turning players in the NFL that are expected to come in right away. Yes, there's a Peyton Manning out there, but for every number 1 draft pick, it's not a 100% certainty that they're going to come in and completely turn around an offense or a defense and make that equate to wins at the end of that season.
Craig, this is a gladiator sport. They're putting their bodies on the line. I'm not saying playing baseball you're not. You can get Tommy John surgery. You can run into the wall, collide with a teammate. Basketball, anything can happen on the court. But this is one of the ultimate team sports, and these guys, they're putting their bodies on the line. Now they're well compensated, so nobody's feeling sorry for them. But it's just they don't talk like that in the locker room, and fans are just, they got a tank. We got to get a high draft pick. Listen, they got the franchise quarterback. Okay, check that box. Now you got to get more talent around him, and you can find that in the draft. There's just 3 ways to build a roster: free agency, draft, and trades. And they were exhaust all 3 of those options in the offseason.
And, of course, doing it by the draft is much easier because then, of course, you can set your team for longer term and salary cap purposes as well. Now, an interesting dynamic this week defensively for the Cardinals is, remember, the Chiefs, they basically score at will. Well, the Raiders, they have a hard time scoring. In fact, they haven't scored a touchdown in the last 2 weeks. Something Al Holcomb was asked about earlier on Thursday.
Well, there's always a challenge. The National Football League is tough. It's tough, and it doesn't really matter what the records may say. It's 2 NFL teams, guys on both sides of the ball who get paid and make a living doing this stuff. So we've got to be prepared to play, and we have to be ready to play. So to answer your question, just in terms of, having a letdown, so to speak, no, that's not the case. We've got to be ready to play a good brand of football, a physical brand of football in front of our home crowd, because at the end of the day, we still have a long way to go and a lot to prove.
Raiders coming off a loss to the Chargers, 20-6. They've lost 5 in a row, and if you just go through their roster, remember Khalil Mack was traded, Amari Cooper was traded, Marshawn Lynch is on injured reserve. A couple of their defensive captains have been released, so head coach John Gruden is certainly turning over that roster. This is his first season of a 10-year rebuild, or at least a 10-year contract, but
That'd be a long rebuild.
I'm sure they're hoping it's not a 10-year rebuild.
They're
but
going to move in that 10 years.
Everyone looks at this year one as trying to figure out, okay, what are John Gruden-type players, and then figure out whether it's through the draft or free agency to get guys in, because it had certainly been a struggle for the Raiders this season.
The Gruden grinder. Let me tell you a story about John Gruden. How
story time with Uncle MJ.
Yeah. So Gruden gets this job. We know he's been sniffing at it for a while. He finally gets it, 10 years for $100 million. This is how much passion he has. He actually hires a driver. I don't know how far he lives from the facility, but he hires a driver, and he's got this huge SUV, and it's got TVs in the back of it. When he gets picked up in the morning and driven home after work, he is watching game film in his SUV.
Hey, utilize all the time that you have, because you only have so much of it in a day. That's impressive.
He gets up at 3:17 in the morning, same time every morning. I don't know why 3:17. He's been doing it. Even when he wasn't coaching, he'd go to his office.
3:17?
And he doesn't even use an alarm clock. He just wakes up.
There's got to be something about 317.
Okay.
Okay.
Could be. I'm sure there is. I don't know why, but maybe it's – who knows. But I don't know how far his commute is. He must live away from the facility in Alameda. So, story time. No, I was fascinated by it. I was going to ask him the other day, but I'm thinking, he's really focused on this game. But I heard that's what he's doing.
Yeah, he was on. We had a chance to talk with Coach Gruden earlier this week
Chucky.
on a conference call, and as bad as things are with the Raiders, of course, they're looking at the Cardinals and seeing the struggles that the Cardinals have experienced here in 2018. So perhaps this is the week for the Raiders to get ready. And Coach Gruden was asked about that. Maybe perhaps this is the week that they might be able to snap that long losing streak.
No, I don't look at anything like that. I respect every team in this league. I've seen Arizona play great on defense. I've seen them really show some promise, with their young quarterback. I mean, this is a tough league. They've had some injuries on their offensive line, so have we. It makes things tough, and it's a tough league. They've played some very good opponents. I got a lot of respect for Arizona, Steve Keim, the players. All you got to do is pick up a roster. They have David Johnson standing over here. They got Patrick Peterson and Chandler Jones and Marcus Golden. They got some very recognizable players. I think Hassan Reddick's going to be a real good player. So we got our hands full, no doubt. And we're playing with a lot of injuries as well, so we're anxious to strap it on.
This is Cards Cover 2 coming to you from the Dignity Health Arizona Cardinals Training Center. We do it every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 3 p.m. here. Craig Rialou and Mike Drecke. You can watch live on azcardinals.com/live video. Also find us on YouTube. Just search Cards Cover 2. And, of course, if you ever miss a show or just love hearing Storytime with Mike Drecke, just download it as a podcast via Apple Podcasts, Google Play Music, SoundCloud, or TuneIn.
Our producer, Jimmy Almohandro, that was a great picture of Gruden.
Absolutely.
He's wearing the skinny. Is he wearing the skinny pants?
Basically, and for those who are listening to the podcast, well, just Google John Gruden to find funny pictures. I mean, I'm sure they're all over the place, but just the fact that
are those sweatpants or
it basically epitomizes the entire Raiders season in 2018. Arms outstretched.
What's going on?
Mouth wide open. Why aren't you doing what I'm telling you to do and coaching you to do? Where's Khalil Mack?
Where's Amari Cooper? Coach, you trade him. Now, the Raiders, they've given up 28 sacks. Carr's been sacked all 28 times.
Yes, but the other side of this is much better.
Well,
how many sacks do they have as a team? How many defensive sacks do the Raiders have?
8 more than you and I combined. So they got 8.
Okay.
You know how many Khalil Mack has?
8.5?
7.5.
7.5?
7.
Chandler Jones has 8.5. He's got more sacks than the Raiders do as a team.
28 sacks. Carr's been sacked 12 times in the last 2 games. He's going to end up like his brother.
Yeah, that's not going to be
You wake up in the middle of the night and you got the shakes.
Speaking of quarterback play, the Cardinals quarterback Josh Rosen, there has been a lot of discussion this week, MJ, about Rosen's leadership ability and whether it's, look, he's not even played half a season yet as far as the number of starts. Yet here he is, and you're hearing it from coaches, teammates, and even Rosen himself. He is more comfortable in his position as far as being that guy, despite being a first-year player.
Being 21 years old.
Standing in front of the room, whether that's the whole team or the offensive unit or in that huddle, and commanding the respect, not by anything that he's done or said, just because of his position as the quarterback. And to get that at an early stage of his career, I think speaks volumes.
Well, I think it speaks volumes of the nature of the position. I mean, you don't come in here and demand things. You kind of stay in your lane. You're better off seen, not heard.
Head down and just kind of let it happen.
And, we get in here around 8:30 or 9. These players are getting in here at 6:30. I was leaving the facility yesterday right around 4:45. And guess who was walking out at the same time? Josh Rosen. Yes, he had his car backed in. Right next to mine.
Right next? Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was just coincidental. I was coming back from lunch and there was an open spot, but
you should have said, which car is mine?
No, I kind of figured it out.
You could tell which one is whose?
And he had his music going before he even got out of the parking lot. So, yeah, but first guy in, last guy to leave. You hear that a lot in sports, and really people don't talk about it. I'm sure the coaches are doing the same thing. They're here early in the morning, leaving late, just because you want to figure out what can they do better and how do you make adjustments on the fly and et cetera. So Rosen's putting the time in, and I think he's gaining their respect now. There was so much speculation before the draft. This guy's high maintenance. He's going to ask a lot of questions. He's going to question authorities. Was he a great teammate at UCLA? What did he win there? All that stuff, it was all smokescreen. I mean, Cardinals fell in love with him. I know the Broncos loved him at 5, and Elway decided to go with Bradley Chubb. So I'm intrigued with him being able to now take that role as a quarterback of a team and be the face of the franchise for the next couple of years. And now he's being more demanding in the huddle, okay? Not so much saying, hey, catch the ball. How about run a better route and you won't have the traffic around you? How about hold your block for 1 or 2 more seconds? And that's not telling somebody what to do. That's trying to encourage them that if we all do what we're supposed to do, this offense can be effective and they can score more points than they currently are.
And he demands it of himself as well. He's
first.
Including himself. Yes, right. Perfect. Yes. He makes sure it's him
starts
first.
with him.
Yes.
Because you can't go in there if you're turning the ball over 4 times a game and getting sacked 7 times when you're holding on to the ball too long, you're staring down the receivers. No, that's not going to fly. He's going out there trying to perform at the highest level based on what's around him. And again, as long as they can protect him, I think he'll be successful in the National Football League.
How Rosen has evolved his leadership status here with the Cardinals. Offensive coordinator Byron Leftwich touched on that this week.
The thing is with Josh, I mean, the guys know what type of work he's put in. The guys will follow him. I mean, he brings energy to our team. You guys see it. The guys will follow him easily. So it's easy. With the position comes that type of command, and those are things that you have to do, especially on this level in the National Football League. But it makes it easier for them guys when it's coming from Josh because they understand the work he's putting in. They seeing this kid battling with him. They've been in tough situations with him. They're winning games. They're being in tough situations with him. They're losing games. That builds something. That builds something that all good football teams must have, and we're in the process of doing that.
Larry Fitzgerald, by the way, was also asked about Rosen's leadership, and since it is a Friday, #FitzFriday, let's hear from number 11, his Q&A with the media. By the way, Sunday marks the 100th regular season game for Larry Fitzgerald at State Farm Stadium. He was asked about that, plus how he almost became an Oakland Raider.
Larry, your 100th regular season game. What comes to mind?
It's a lot of football, man. A lot of football. It's great to be able to have the longevity and be able to do that. But it's pretty cool.
Larry, what's it mean to you to have a quarterback who's willing to take a shot to deliver a good pass?
I would much more. I would like it if he didn't have to take any shots to deliver a good pass. That would be ideal. His toughness is not in question. We don't need to try to question his toughness. I mean, what we need him is, to be back there and be clean and make deliveries and get the ball out on time. And, I think that's best for everybody. But, the guy is tough. He's taking shots. He proved that in college, over the years. And obviously in the time he's played, he's been able to endure and push through some things. And, you really appreciate that kind of toughness in not only a quarterback but any type of player.
Have you seen and heard him step into that leadership thing where he ditched the rookie labels, maybe sort of snapping at somebody in the huddle or barked a little louder?
Yeah. He definitely is not gonna. He's not one of those guys that's gonna stand by and let something be bad. Hey, that's not right. Hey, I need this to be done better. You know, it doesn't matter if it's me. It doesn't matter if it's an offensive lineman, David Johnson. Like he's taking ownership, and you know, this is his ball club. It's going to be his ball club for a very long time, and he's a young franchise.
That record for most catches for one team, one Jerry Rice record you could pass. But what does that mean? I mean, it's kind of an interesting record because you got to be on a team for a long time for that to.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know how I am about that stuff, Bob. It's just a footnote. You know, it's.
But you had to be here 15 years.
Well, yeah, I've been here a long time. I've been fortunate to be able to do that, but like I said, the records really are not that meaningful to me. I mean, I don't ever talk about them. I don't ever go home and talk to my kids. Hey, you know, I'm caught more passes with one team than anybody in history. That's cool, Dad. Can we go play lacrosse now? That's fine. You know, like it's not something that I would ever talk about. You know.
Funny, here we are, new week and new milestone, new record that Fitz is approaching. He needs 8 catches to pass Jerry Rice, who had 1,281 catches with the 49ers. That's the NFL mark for most catches with a single team. Certainly Fitz will catch Rice in at least one category.
Did you catch that? He mentioned as Josh Rosen, young franchise. And Devin playing lacrosse.
Yeah, not following in the father's footsteps.
Larry said he'll let him play contact football when he gets a little bit older. He has played flag football. I was told Devin is like the person out there in lacrosse. Like he's a scorer. And I asked him why he isn't playing flag football no more. He said he was being too physical with the other players.
He gets that from his father.
Blocking down the line.
Exactly.
Young franchise. I like that, Fitz.
One other note on Sunday, by the way, 2:05 is the kickoff, Cardinals and Raiders. It is on Sunday, the Cardinals salute to service game.
Hello, I'm Chaplain David Barnes, Kunsan Air Base, South Korea. Wanted to say hello to my family, send prayers to the Cardinals. Rise up, Red Sea.
Hey, my name is Senior Airman Lewis. I'm out here deployed in beautiful Africa, and I just want to say, go Cardinals.
Staff Sergeant Brandon Henniger, 8th Fighter Wing, Kunsan Air Base, South Korea. And to the Bird Gang back home, go Cards.
I'm Technical Sergeant Michael Larsh, 8th Fighter Wing, Kunsan Air Base, South Korea. I'd like to wish my family a happy holidays. Go Cards!
Hey Cardinals fans, I'm Sergeant First Class Vasquez from Apache Company 212 Lethal Battalion. Currently forward deployed to Kandahar, Afghanistan. I'd like to give a shout out to all my family and friends back home in Arizona, and especially my wife Tiffany and my children, Abigail, Gabriel, Ethan, Luke, and Andrew. Rise up, Red Sea! Woo!
I'm Colonel John Wheeler, Vice Commander, 8th Fighter Wing, Kunsan Air Base, South Korea. Come on, Arizona, rise up, Red Sea!
How cool is that?
I got chills.
Appreciate all our service men and women, both current and past. But
nice to see they're representing.
Absolutely. Cardinals gear.
Fitzgerald jersey, David Johnson, the late Pat Tillman. Yeah, thank you, past and present, for serving and allowing us to have the freedom we have. We really appreciate it, and God bless to everyone.
Absolutely, and several Cardinal connections to the military as well. Owner Bill Bidwell served in the U.S. Navy, then the Army, the Navy Reserve during and after the Korean War. By the way, the only living NFL owner who is a veteran of the U.S. Armed Services, and some of players as well. Deo and Buchanan's, both his parents involved in the military. Antoine Bethay's father was in the Army, so certainly a lot of Cardinals connections to the armed services. And Cardinals doing a lot of different activities on Sunday, both before, during, and after the ball game, and specifically before. If you get into your seats at State Farm Stadium early, the U.S. Army will swear in 50 recruits on the field after team warm-ups.
Oh, that's awesome.
And certainly the flyover is always something that everyone enjoys. There will be 4 F-35s from the 56th Fighter Group at Luke Air Force Base they'll fly over at the conclusion of the national anthem. So tip of the cap to the Cardinals for honoring the men and women of the armed services.
I love this time of the year, and between the cause for cleats, and we'll get into that over the next couple of weeks, and then you just see and the Cardinals wearing the salute to service decal, and also the number 40 decal for Pat Tillman. And you look at other teams around the league, the NFL does a really good job promoting this, and I'm glad we're going to get a chance to see that up close and personal come Sunday.
Yeah, and the pilots, those from the 4 F-35s, will be honored during the game as well. Cardinals and Raiders kicking off Week 11 is this is a rare situation here on Sunday because the Raiders don't come to town very often. In fact, this is only their second visit. Okay, I need to preference this. Regular season, they don't come to town very often.
True.
But the last time and the first time at State Farm Stadium was 2010, and some history was made that day as we open up the Big Red Vault.
Ticket to the house promotion. If the Cardinals return the opening kickoff for a score, Dave Johnson gets a new home. Go to azcardinals.com for more. Stevens hauling on the goal line. Runs right to the 10, to the 15, to the 20. Breaks a tackle, 25, 30. 35, kicker to beat 40. Stevens hauling near side 50. At the 40, at the 30, at the 20. Somebody open the front door. Stevens howling's coming in. Touchdown, Cardinals on the opening kickoff.
Dave Pash is so witty. Somebody open the front door.
So the promotion, in case you might have missed it at the start, a local home builder at the time would give away a house if the Cardinals took the opening kickoff.
He got that read in just in time.
Well, you
Paul
say
was in the air.
Every home game, and LaRod Stevens-Howlings did it. The Hyphen, who, by the way, I found out today is a running backs coach at Robert Morris University, so still involved in the game.
He was a really good young man. I mean, I enjoyed covering him. Didn't say a whole lot, but he was a small guy that had an opportunity to play in the NFL.
By the way, the Cardinals did win that ball game against the Raiders 24-23.
You see Janikowski try to tackle him?
Yeah, well, it's hard. It's hard to tackle the Hyphen, especially when you got that much head of steam on you.
But look at Janikowski. He looked like he had like 24 of donuts before the game. No, I'm serious.
I'm sure he still does.
And
he's still playing.
I just know that he did not fare very well at the stadium, whether it was now at State Farm Stadium. He didn't fare very well even when he was with the Seahawks here and went to the Raiders. He struggled that one year.
There are some players, though, regardless of sport, that are just some venues, some ballparks, some stadiums that just don't agree with you.
Even a guy like, was it Hauschka?
Stephen Hauschka?
Yeah. Remember when he came
in and missed, yeah.
Yeah, him and Catanzaro took turns.
You're making me remember. That's a bad memory. Let's just go back to taking it to the
Life
house.
of a kicker, Catman. He got released. Man. Bruce Arians told me that guy's going to kick in the league 10 years. He said he needs to go see a psychiatrist, though. He said it's all between ears. And then he goes signs with the Jets.
For a lot of kickers, though, it is. It's more mental than physical.
But Arians told me, he said we had to make a move there, but he said this kid is going to kick in the league for at least 10 years. And then he signs with the Jets, and then he was with the Bucs, helped them win a few games. Unfortunately, it's what have you done for me lately? It's the National Football. You know what it stands for? Not for long.
Yeah. Still to come here on this edition of Cards Covered 2. We'll get to your questions via social media using the hashtag CardsCovered2 with the number 2 involved in that. We do it every show Monday, Wednesday, and Friday here from the Dignity Health Arizona Cardinals Training Center. Pro Bowl voting, by the way, is also underway and something you can get involved in, not just at the stadium on Sunday, but beforehand as well. Just go to NFL.com/Pro Bowl vote. You can do that between now and December 13th.
All right. There's a handful of guys that are worthy. Their record's going to dictate that. We know who plays in the conference championship games and the Super Bowl. They're going to tap out. Some guys will tap out because if they hit the bonus in their contract, they don't need to play in the game. Realistically, how many do you think they get?
I think they get 2.
Chandler Jones?
That would be my first one.
Patrick Peterson?
Yeah, but see, I'm more leaning now. He's certainly worthy, but I'm leaning towards Andy Lee. Because of numbers, and if you just look at stats, Peterson doesn't have the stats. Analytically, yes, but if you're just looking at the number sheet, that's the piece of paper that you get at the end of the game, Andy Lee shows up on that. Peterson doesn't every week.
All right, sleeper, Zeke Turner.
Special teams, following the footsteps of Budda Baker.
This is how Buddha made it last year. Anything else, gravy. Icing on the sundae.
And depending on how David Johnson performs these last couple of weeks, it's because it's a
Alvin Kamara, unless they get to the Super Bowl, Todd Gurley.
It's a popularity contest, and you'll have a number of different guys tap out, and all of a sudden, that first quarterback is now the 7th quarterback.
Like Tyrod Taylor last year?
Yeah.
Now, the only problem is a lot of fantasy people are upset with David Johnson because they drafted him high. Now, the last couple of weeks, they're probably thinking, I'm going to run him in the ground for the next 7 games.
Just be happy you drafted David Johnson, not Le'Veon Bell.
True.
That's all I got to say about that. By the way, the
second pick in the draft, Le'Veon Bell. He's going to report in week 10. It ain't happening.
By the way, Peterson has been voted into the Pro Bowl 7 straight seasons. He's looking for number 8. He was asked about that honor this week.
I have one more than Fitzy in the room. So that I have one. Yeah, exactly. I have one leg up on him, but for the most part, that'll be another huge accomplishment, for myself. But I want to continue doing things to help this team win ball games. Those individual accolades will just continue to happen if I continue doing the things that I need to do on the football field. So that's not going to stop, and obviously I want those Pro Bowl votes to continue adding up. But I also, like 2015, I don't want to play in those games anymore. I want to be in the NFC Championship Super Bowl. So the votes can definitely keep piling up. I don't know what the record. I think Champ Bailey has the most Pro Bowls with 12, I believe, something like that. So I have a long way to go.
Patrick, I had a conversation with him a couple weeks ago about how long would you like to play. He said 13 years and didn't give me a rhyme or reason why 13 was the number. Because I was thinking maybe later in your career, would you make the move to safety like Charles Woodson and Rod Woodson did? And he said he really doesn't think he's going to do that. So Larry's got, 10 now? 10 or 11?
11. Last year was number 11.
And the only other player in NFL history at the wide receiver position that has more was Jerry Rice.
Fitz could be a sleeper as well, depending on
grandfathered in.
Yeah, maybe.
But he won't play in that game.
NFL.com/Pro Bowl
Go
votes
vote.
As Brandon Natus joins us here in studio here on this Football Friday, the Cardinals manager of social media, as we hear what the Bird Gang has to sound off on this week. But what do you got, MJ?
Brandon, I know you posted it earlier on Twitter and Instagram and everywhere else. What uniform combo are we going to see on Sunday?
See red on white.
Are we getting closer to red on red? Maybe on Christmas, close to Christmas?
I don't want to really get into the uniform
thing. Can you divulge?
We only talk about it though. Can
you divulge that you're the man who decides what the uniform selections are?
I wish.
Can we?
They barely let me.
Okay.
That decision is passed down to Brandon.
Yeah. So I know I could tell you what we're wearing this week. We put it out the red on white. Beyond
Looks good.
That,
you get
there's a lot up in the air.
You got a lot of feedback last week when the Cardinals wore a different jersey when they went to Kansas City.
That was one of our most successful posts of the week. Fans are always asking about the roof and the uniform.
Being in radio as long as I was, I never understood why they would always, either email me at the time or now tweet me what uniform they were, and I get it. They want to sync up what the players are wearing on Sunday.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. I mean, you want the fans out there in all red. I mean, typically the Cardinals wear red, even if they do wear the red bottoms. I mean, there's only a couple times where they'll wear the black jerseys and whatnot, but yeah, red on white, and so make sure to wear your red. And I think also just from an informational standpoint, people just are curious about it, so it's good to know and give it to them before they have to ask.
Brandon wearing white today.
I'm wearing white though.
You're wearing white on black?
I'm wearing white on black. I wouldn't anticipate that at any point this season, fellas.
How about the what's the Bird Gang sounding off on here on this Friday?
So the first question comes to us from Cardinals31, who we really appreciate. Always ask questions.
This is David Johnson's burner account.
I think it could be his burner account.
That would be hysterical.
We'll let him know that. So obviously you had talked about the Raiders struggling to get a pass rush. Cardinals offensive line hasn't had the best grades and is also dinged up. Do you think Josh Rosen will be under pressure, or do you think he'll have some time? What do you envision there between that battle?
Look, based off everything that we've read and the stats-wise, he should have plenty of time in the pocket to throw the ball. But as the coaches have said this week, you can have the favorable matchup on paper. It's quite different when the ball is kicked off on Sunday.
I'm not going to go as far as Grilu because I listen to John Gruden talk, and he talks about how young he is. They're going to bring pressure. Now, can they get there before he gets rid of it? If he gets rid of it between 2 and 2.5 seconds, I think they have some open and good opportunities to throw the ball down the field. But I think that's how they're going to shorten up because they only have 8 sacks on the year as a team. Frosty Rucker's not a guy that's going to get to the quarterback, meaning he plays on the left defensive end spot. He's been a pleasant surprise there, according to Gruden. He's a guy that's a leader in the locker room. So they just don't have a guy, Brandon, that can win one-on-one matchups.
But the issue last week with the Chiefs, they were getting pressure with 4, and that's when the problems occur.
And so what are some things for the fans out there watching? What are some things that an offensive line can do or a coach can call for an offensive line that's maybe struggling or seeing a lot of blitzes?
You can have the quarterback roll out, buy some extra time, get a second tight end in there, and keep the running back in there. But the more people you keep in, the whole max protect, then the fewer options the quarterback has to throw to.
And they may have to do that. I mean, doesn't mean you need to bring in 2 extra tight ends or 2 linemen. You can still have Larry and Kirk go out for passes along with Ricky Seals-Jones. The key is protection up front, and these guys should be able, to me, I thought they'd be better run blockers than pass protection, and I guess you have to look at every individual because I thought both tackles struggled last week against the Chiefs. They won't have that situation this week. Really is get the run game going. Utilize play action where the running back has to sell the play through the line of scrimmage, and then the offensive lineman can pass protect where Rosie can utilize the play action. And I like the times that he throws it to Fitz and Seals-Jones and Christian Kirk. But you got to win at the line of scrimmage. I agree with Craig. You can roll him out. You can put him in a shotgun. You can put him in the RPO, the zone read. He's got to get rid of the ball less than 2.5 seconds, though, in order for him to be efficient and be able to spin the ball down the field.
We're going to switch over to Instagram now. Question actually about running back. A lot of times this season, TJ Logan's starting to be more, has been active more recently, but a lot of times there's only 2 active running backs. Will DJ Foster be back next season? I believe he's a free agent.
I could see him coming back, the 90-man roster, getting a contract, a 1-year deal and with incentives to see. Now the question is how healthy is he, how effective he is in the offseason, training camp, and preseason, whether he's able to make the roster. But he's certainly a valuable piece because special teams. You can do more than just one thing, and I don't think the Cardinals see him as a running back. I think they see him more as a wide receiver with the ability to play in the backfield when necessary, but you can make a case that he plays 3 different positions.
Yeah, they really don't have a third down back. You don't want to take David Johnson off the field. We know every 4th or 5th possession they bring in Edmonds, and he's got to get better in pass protection. I think it's going to be one of those scenarios. He returns from the injury. He's in off-season workouts. He goes to training camp, and then we're talking about a guy on the bubble. But based on him having experience with the previous general manager and now the new staff, I think there's a spot for him. Now he's going to have to earn it, and I don't think we're really going to know that until next year.
Well, he'd have to beat out TJ Logan.
Yep. And we'll continue on with some of the crystal ball stuff here. So that's kind of what we're getting to. We'll go back to Twitter for this one. Will the Cardinals win on Sunday, and what do you think the final score will be?
They will win 21-10.
I'm going to go 23-17. I do think they score. I don't know how.
17. Okay, one, you're expecting the Cardinals to score 23, which is, I think they can. The Raiders, though, no touchdowns in the last 2 weeks.
Well, they're due.
Okay, fair enough.
And they can probably get a kick, right? A field goal. Yeah, I think the Cardinals win. Now, it'd be nice to see them get a defensive touchdown, a special teams touchdown. But, I don't care how it happens. Just win. Just win, baby. But
at this point, 3-0.
Yeah, but I mean, they get paid too. I mean, busted covers, they can get a touchdown. It's not like it's Derek Carr is going to throw left-handed for 3 quarters.
He's got no one to throw to as well.
Jared Cook.
A lot of tight end screens.
No,
look out for that.
Down the field.
So, final question here, and this is a very challenging question to answer.
I don't have a favorite Ninja Turtle.
It is not a favorite Ninja Turtle.
Is it your favorite color?
No, it's kind of a not fair question to ask, but what the heck, it's Friday. Will Josh Rosen lead the Cardinals to a Super Bowl eventually?
Eventually?
It just says in the future.
Sure.
Why not?
Yeah, you know.
Go. That was it.
How about this? Let's hope so.
Yeah, because that means this team's in the postseason. We all get excited about the postseason. Obviously, it's going to be difficult, I think, for the next year or two because the Rams right now got a stranglehold. And I know people are ready to bury the Seahawks. As long as they got Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson, they're going to be in the mix. So I think the team will be on the rise. Now it's a matter of how he flourishes. But once again, you got to get more talent around him.
What are some of the character traits he's shown you that kind of demonstrate some of those things that we've seen from Super Bowl winning quarterbacks?
He's tough. He gets hit, gets right back up, doesn't complain about getting hit, at least that I've seen, whether on film or in person. And then I think he needs to work on his accuracy, but he does throw a good football. It's just sometimes it sails on him, and a lot of that just might be because of the pressure.
Yeah, he's got to get his feet set. He's been sacked 18 times, so they got to make sure they protect him. Poise, leadership, intangibles. The game's not too big for him.
He never appears lost to me.
No, and I love the fact that he asks questions, and he really focuses on his team versus who the opponent is. He knows he's going against the opponent, but he's watched enough film to know what they're going to throw. And being a young quarterback, it's got to be mind-boggling sometimes, and probably he's brainstorming, what am I going to do in this certain play? But he'll get better as his career unfolds, but I really think he's got a bright future.
And I think it's pretty cool. You really notice his teammates gravitate towards
Yes.
him, which is,
it's not like
cool to see.
he's phony or fake. They see the real Josh Rosen. Maybe some other people on the outside don't.
So that's all we got for you today, fellas.
Sounds good, Brandon. Appreciate it. We'll do it on Monday again using the hashtag CardsCover2. We do it every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and that's going to wrap up this edition of a Football Friday here on Cards Cover 2. Special thanks to those behind the scenes, Tim Delaney, Jim Omohundro, Devin Henry, Jeremy Schnell, plus Grant Greeley, Jonathan Hayward, Grayson Cho, Brandon Natus, Jesse Aranda, and Jackson Sipes. Yeah, we just thank you left and right. Just, I don't know exactly what you do, but, we appreciate you coming in.
What do you mean you don't know what he does? Just follow the Twitter, Cardinals Twitter account.
I thought he was in charge of the uniforms, and that got,
Well, you could say I'm in charge of the uniforms.
He's in charge of posting it.
I was also in charge of the coin toss last week when they snapped the Chiefs
Congratulations,
streak. Anything else that's good that happens, I really, that's what I
can't wait if the Cardinals win, what we're going to see after the game from Brandon.
Me too.
Keep an eye on that on the Cardinals Twitter account at AZCardinals. Appreciate it, Brandon. For Mike Jurecki, I'm Craig Riolu, and as we leave you on this Football Friday, time to get hyped up. Cardinals and Raiders in Week 11.
Is there anything as American as a football Sunday? Check that. Is there anything as American as a football Sunday honoring the men and women of our armed forces? On a day when we all salute our heroes, Oakland and Arizona look to take a step forward in what has been a tough season for both teams. Will it be another Sunday of progress for Josh Rosen and the offense?
Caught touchdown, David Johnson.
And can the defense continue to improve like they've done in recent weeks?
Gets hit, and he's sacked.
If you ask any of them, the only thing that matters is win the game.
Touchdown!
Raiders, Cardinals, Game 10 of the 2018 season. Sunday,